Abiqua Falls is a difficult to reach but rewarding nature destination that has recently been put up for sale. With possible big changes coming, this raises the question, should Abiqua Falls be left wild as is, or should it be made more accessible to the general public? Our journey begins eastbound from Salem, which passes by a large amount of valley farmland. Past the farmland is the start of the forested Cascade foothills. In sharp contrast to the rustic Abiqua Falls, the nearby Silver Falls State Park is a well-established and heavily visited natural place. If you were a flying crow, they would only be a few miles from each other. But due to water, terrain, and private land, the drive between the two is about an hour. At 40 minutes away, Silverton is the closest town that most pass through to get to Abiqua Falls. But before we begin the rough waterfall journey, the beginning of this story starts at Mount Angel Abbey. Outside the town of Mount Angel is a Catholic monastery created and run by Benedictine monks. The abbey is an impressive compound on top of the hill, with buildings of different purposes, like a huge library and a Romanesque-style monastery. The Abbey Foundation does a wide variety of things, including a brewery ran by monks. But most important to today's topic, they have been the owners and allowed access to Abiqua Falls for about a century. Recently, they decided that their time being stewards of this land was over, and they put the falls up for sale. Their public reasoning for the sale was vague, stating that their time as stewards was over, and they hope new ownership will better serve the public. The sale did go up right about the time that Oregon's recreation liability issues were causing concern and coming close to closing ski resorts. Also worth considering is the rise in popularity of this waterfall in recent years, and land stewardship is not even close to one of the Abbey Foundation's primary functions. Only the monks know the true reason, and it doesn't really matter so long as we can still visit the waterfall and enjoy it. After some time and negotiations, a pending agreement has been made to sell the waterfall land to the state of Oregon. Also packaged in this deal to the state is a large neighboring forest property owned by Weyerhaeuser. Oregon being covered in public land is one of the things that makes the state so unique and great. So that is another good part of this land deal, unless you believe that private companies are better for managing forests, which could be a good debate for another time. While the land was private, people were allowed to access the waterfall already, so you might wonder what will change if this deal goes through. The nearby Silver Falls shows the huge difference between established state parks and the rustic Abiqua Falls. Here there are amenities, signs, well-maintained trails, and with that there are crowds of people enjoying the nature. But we don't know if Abiqua would even become a state park, and what the extent of any improvements will be. The rough road to Abiqua Falls is one of the main reasons it is considered a remote place. The new state ownership would likely mean some sort of improvements to that road. To get to the Waterfall trailhead from Silverton, take Highway 213 to Crooked Finger Road, and then take an unmarked right to where the road starts to get interesting. Both unclear directions and road conditions cause some to not make it to the trailhead at all. But I'm just a guy with a Subaru. There are people much more qualified to speak about these rough drives. Donald from Softroadingthewest is an authority on exploring Oregon's rough roads, and he will show us what the route to Abiqua looks like.
Now Matt sent me a pin marking the approximate spot on the road where a lot of people give up. So I'm going to try and get to that and we'll see what it looks like. So in terms of, the rough terrain that I occasionally encounter around Oregon and beyond, that spot was nothing particularly out of the ordinary. It was pretty effortless going down, pretty effortless coming back up. Now, should you do it in a passenger car? No, you definitely need some clearance because otherwise you're going to be rubbing some parts of your car in those ruts. And I would think at the least all-wheel drive, because you're possibly going to be lifting some wheels. If you've only got two-wheel drive, which means really one wheel spinning, you could easily get twisted up, have a wheel in the air, and just not be able to go. Down past that spot on the trail, there were people in like RAV4s, all-wheel drive, small SUV kind of things. So definitely possible to do it in that kind of vehicle.
You were able to get through with your car.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people chicken out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you been here before? Or?
No, it's our first time.
Oh, okay, cool.
Definitely possible to do it in that kind of vehicle if you've got some experience dealing with, some rough rutted spots like that. Would I have done that in my Subaru? Absolutely.
Big thanks to Donald, who is a little bit like me, but on wheels, and less videos about rocks and stuff. Please go find his thoughtful content at the Softroadingthewest website or YouTube. So the road is easy enough for those that do this all the time, but many cars and drivers will not have a good time trying to reach this trailhead. State ownership could likely bring gravel, flattening, and signage improvements, but the question is, do we want that? It would be safer and more accessible to all, but then we deal with the problems that come with overcrowding. The next barrier to entry at Abiqua Falls is the hiking trail, which is not a trail that everyone can do. Rather than show you the trail myself, we have brought in another expert, the famous outdoor guide author, William Sullivan. William will show us just how tough this hike is. Well, it turns out he's pretty booked up, and we don't have the budget. Please donate and Will Sullivan may appear. The hike is shorter than a mile, but not a well-maintained trail like you would find in most state parks. The trail has many obstacles and can be steep and slippery. The hiking community has added in assist ropes along the way. An experienced hiker would have no problem on this trail even without the ropes. But this steep and rough terrain cuts quite a few people out of this adventure. With state ownership, this could likely get redone with a more accessible trail and even switchbacks down the steep hill. The many people that could reach the falls thanks to trail improvements would greatly appreciate it. But those that can already make this adventure may prefer the wild experience and want to keep it that way. There's a shot of me, in case you're wondering what I look like. I'm a big fan of wild nature experiences, and I tend to go out much further away from civilization for that. We have so many adventurous opportunities out there, but if we pave the path to all of them, there won't be any left. In the debate of wild versus accessible, it's reasonable to want some of both and make compromises. At the end of this trail is a very epic waterfall. Even some people watching this video won't ever get to see it in person unless this trail improves. But then if we do improve the trail, we may be ruining the experience of nature purists by making it too easy and crowding the place. After the steep downhill, the route follows Abiqua Creek upstream before reaching the waterfall. This part is also not the most accessible of trails, as hikers need to navigate the rocks, water, and other obstacles. The name Abiqua has an unknown origin that has been lost over the years. Some say it's a local tribe name or a camping site, but really we don't know. One known event here, but with the details disputed, was the 1848 Battle of Abiqua. Tensions were high between settlers and natives due to the usual circumstances of stolen land during this time. At some point, settlers decided they needed to make a big move, and a big battle took place somewhere downstream on Abiqua Creek. The unfortunate result was many deaths and further displacement of Native Americans. As the route gets closer to the waterfall, we get to go back further to the ancient history of Abiqua by looking at the canyon walls. Columnar basalt going in all kinds of directions has been uncovered by long-term water and ice erosion. The unusual display of volcanic rock comes from when the rock was lava and the surface cooled quicker than the rest of the flow. The quicker hardening and shrinking surface causes stress fractures that result in cracks made in geometric shapes. The hexagon shapes then extend to make a column, and when uncovered, we get to see the natural patterns and shapes. The columnar basalt becomes much more distinct and vertical as you get closer to the waterfall. Columnar basalt forms an amphitheater, with the majestic waterfall performing at the center. The large opening has plenty of space for many people to enjoy this sight. Some people might enjoy this place a little too much, like the cliff jumpers that visit to make the extreme dive. That has not always ended well, like this one from 2025, where a young cliff jumper had to be pulled out of the canyon by rope, then driven up by ATV to a landing area for a life flight helicopter. Then later in the same year, someone just hiking the trail took a big fall and had to be pulled out by search and rescue. A big benefit of state ownership and improvements would be more accessible roads and quicker emergency response time. While you could say that people should be responsible for themselves, you could also say that we should use our ability to make the situation safer. People are going to be drawn to and visit this amazing site either way. Waterfalls are universally loved for many different reasons, but most of us don't bother thinking about why we love waterfalls. It's pretty easy to say that nature is relaxing, and that feeling can heal people. The waterfall is one of the more extreme forms of nature that, in addition to viewing, can be heard and felt. To me, the waterfall feels both calming and exciting at the same time. I also feel inspired by such a large and powerful force of nature. In our world, powerful things usually have some agenda and take away from something else, but this waterfall simply exists. It's not bothered by too many people visiting or dangerous terrain. There is no denying that this is one of the most photogenic Oregon waterfalls. Epic pictures draw in many photographers to try their own spin on the iconic waterfall. Many people say that taking pictures, sharing places, and making weird YouTube videos will ruin these places. Natural places crowd up, the land gets overused, and someone's special nature spot feels less special. That has definitely happened to Abiqua Falls in recent years. But it's hard to blame people with how epic of a sight this waterfall is. So who gets a license to enjoy nature? Is it those who have the smallest impact on the land? Or those rugged adventurers that are well equipped enough to reach it? Who gets to make these decisions? Abiqua Falls will likely soon be under new state ownership, and its surroundings may change. Access will be improved in some way, but the question is by how much, and what effect will that have on the land? Of course, the real question we all have is, where will they put the hot dog stand? And will they be even better than the world-famous Langlois hot dogs?